Welcome to Following On talkSport 2 or via the talkSport Cricket YouTube channel. Stumps has just been called. Player interviews just about to take place. The New Zealand players, Nathan Smith apart, I recognise from the other side of the ground, have scarpered. We will be talking about a century that's gone the way of Harry Brook. We will be talking about one of the most spectacular catches at backward point, stroke gully, from Glenn Phillips. We will be talking about the fact that England were in dire straits at 71 for 4. We will discuss Joe Root, dismissed for a duck on his 150th Test match. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It's not a funny manner. But before all that, Steve Harmison, we will talk about a day which has seen 6 golden opportunities given up by the home side, New Zealand. 3 of them from the captain, Tom Latham. Harry Brook reprieved on 4 occasions, and Ben Stokes, the worst drop of them all, given a reprieve late on day 2. You cannot win anything when you drop that amount of catches, and they came all over the field, at slip, at deep mid-wicket, at short cover, by the keeper, at backward point. Oof, that's been a bad day, a real bad day for New Zealand.
Yeah, a bad day for New Zealand. I mean, if you're a bowler, you go in there and you look at the mirror or you look at your teammates and go, could I have done anything more? I mean, you'd never go in and go, come on lads, give us a hand. I mean, you don't want to turn, I mean, that then turns it into a batter bowler friction. You lose the dressing room then. So we know we don't sort of drop catches on purpose. It is one of them days. You take nothing away from Harry Brook, the way he played, but if you're going to drop Harry Brook, a player like Harry Brook,
4 times.
4 times.
On 18, 41, 70 and 108.
I mean, you drop Duckett on 23, goes and gets 46. Stokes was 30, and yeah, he's 37 not out. But I mean, even that Stokes one, that one there, that could be the biggest one that costs the most, because we've got 6 overs tomorrow until the second new ball. And that's half an hour. That gives Stokes a chance to get in like he has, and then you go again with the second new ball. So I think the most costly one of them all was if you want to look at Conway when Brook was on 108, but the Stokes one. I know England bat deep, but there's an end to go at. You've got Wokes, brand new ball coming in 6 overs, Atkinson, Carson, and Bashir to come. You feel as though we might be able to, if you're New Zealand, minimise the sort of lead that England are always going to get. 6 drop catches in international cricket. I heard what Jeremy Coney was saying. I agreed. I agreed with quite a bit of it.
I was about a foot away.
I was going to say you caught most of it. I mean, you probably got what the New Zealand catchers are getting in the dressing room right now. But you can't do it in international cricket, and still feel as though you can. It's a bit. I mean, sometimes it's a bit like watching England when England have an absolute calamity with a bat, isn't it? You go, well, you can't play shots like that. You can't give your wicket away like that and expect to win Test matches. I mean, if New Zealand win the Test match from here, boy, that's a great effort dropping the catches they've dropped today.
I don't know about you, Harmy, but I have those days in my life. It doesn't, I'm glad to say, happen too often, but I do have those days where I'm having such a stinker of a day. I get to about 7:30 and I just think, I'm just going to go to bed. There's no turning this day around. I'm going to bed. It's 7:30. I don't care. Nothing can happen over the course of the next 2 or 3 hours that is going to turn this day back my way. Bed.
Yeah,
is that what the New Zealanders are going to do tonight?
That's what
We're not going to see them out on town, are we?
No. Well, there's 2 ways of looking at it. You can think, well, yeah, what's worse can happen here if I just go out and have a few pints and have a nice meal? You know, what's the worst thing that can happen in my day? You know, they don't bring me starter on time, or they don't bring me main course on time. I've had millions of days like this, John, where you leave the field and you go, I'm not sure I could have done much more, and feel as though there's nothing gone my way. I mean, the bowlers have bowled reasonably well. I'm talking about the bowlers here. The bowlers have bowled reasonably well. Pope and Brook played fantastically well. And all you can do, like Mann said a little bit earlier, all you can do is create the chances. You can't make people catch them for you. So, yes, plenty of times where you felt, I just want this day to end and start again tomorrow.
Do you know what Darren Gough used to do? You probably do. It's an old psychological trick. So he'd go back to his hotel room after a day, whether it was a good day or a bad day, and he'd essentially write down all the bad things that had happened in a note on a note paper, write it all down, and then he'd scrunch it up and put it in the bin and get on with his life.
Oh, the New Zealand lads will get cramp in their wrists scrunching up plenty bits of paper after what's happened today. I mean, it's just one of them. I mean, it is. It's one of them days. Freakish things happen. This is the difference between international cricket. I mean, international cricket, if you're a top quality international cricketer, what you do is you put it to one side and you start again fresh tomorrow.
You compartmentalize.
Absolutely, and that's what the England team's very, very good at. Like I said a little bit earlier. You know, England have had some calamities with the bat. You've given wickets away, and you've said, you know, they've had so many people having a go at them. They come back tomorrow. What do they do? You know, the sun's shining. It's a new day, and we've got jobs to do, and that's what New Zealand have to do tomorrow, because they've got 6 big overs before the second new ball, and if they don't get that quite right, and what I'm talking about is the second new ball, then England could be looking at a win and trying to bat once in this game rather than being put under pressure, what they should have been, and having to be chasing a pretty good total on fourth innings.
How many do England have to score on day 3 to be par? Do you know what I mean? I mean, I always feel that a team batting second needs to get 60 to, depending on the pitch. On this pitch, I think England need to get 70 ahead of New Zealand on first innings to be par. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if it's a one innings game and England are bowled out for 348, both teams have got the same amount of runs, but New Zealand are ahead because they don't have to bat in fourth innings. Do you know what I mean? So how many do you think England will need to get tomorrow to feel that they are ahead of the game?
I actually think England are par now.
No, I know they are now.
I think England are par now for the simple fact is this wicket is a very, very good wicket. And when we talk fourth innings, I think the game's changed a hell of a lot in some places around the world. For the simple fact is, wickets hold together for 4 days, and Test matches only go 4 days. When we talk about, you know, back in my day or back in the day, or you know, fourth innings was always, you know, end of day 4. Start of day 5, middle of the afternoon of day 5 when the Test match finishes, and the ball is turning square, it's misbehaving, it's going up and down. I mean, this game will finish. In 4 days. I can only see it unless there's some rain comes in, which then they'll not have a detriment to the surface. I think England are in a great position now, because I think teams around the world in fourth innings chasing 200 to 250. I think there is a little bit of anxiety in dressing rooms. I think you can put 50 on that, and England will still fancy chasing it without, you know, a huge amount of anxiety. I think they've changed the landscape of where people think about chasing runs in fourth innings on a Test match day, as well as going against England and having to do that. So that's why 6 overs tomorrow morning so crucial, that they make the breakthrough and then they utilise the new ball, because it is a new ball pitch, and then blow the tail away. Because if they do give, like what you're asking, a 70-run deficit, if England are 70 runs ahead first innings, then I think then New Zealand are out of the game.
I know it seems a little strange not to talk about the guy that's hit 132, but can we talk about Ollie Pope? Because, you know, he did come to the crease under pressure. It's seen that batting 6 is easier than batting 3. But he came to the crease with England 71 for 4. And he's under the microscope big time. He's playing for his place. He 100%. Might have just captained England for the summer. The guy is playing for his place. Now, it's one of the great beauties of this sport, that one guy can be dropped 4 times and the other guy gives one chance, and it's an extraordinarily difficult chance. It's a 1 in maybe 15 chance. and it's taken, and Pope goes. I mean, it's ridiculous. But up until that point, that's the best. Is it the best I've seen Ollie Pope bat this year? I think it's the best innings I've seen from Ollie Pope. Durham Sala aside, that was just a freak innings, and freak in a good way, right? That was good today. Came to the crease under pressure, didn't. And I know there's been work going on behind the scenes, by the way. We know just how much Surrey invest in their players. He is an England player, but he's a Surrey player. He's come out today, and that 77 will, of course, have done him the world of good. But what would have done him the world more good is he looked good. That wasn't a flighty innings today. That was a good innings.
Yeah, it was a good innings. He was less frantic at the top. So the first 15, 20 balls, there was still a little bit of, a bit of movement. He still looked as though he was, he wasn't settled at the crease. But after he got to sort of 20 balls, he looked as though he was in control of what he was trying to do. He pulled the ball very well, drove the ball nicely. He did get a lot of runs down to sort of wide third through the slip cordon, but that was played intentionally. He looked good, and you watch out. The clamour now is going to be Joe Root bat 3. This is all we're going to hear now, right? We're going to hear now.
Not from me.
Yeah, we're going to hear now from everybody outside. Why can't Joe Root bat at number 3? Ollie Pope shown that he can bat at number 6. Ollie Pope, you're right, was playing for his place, and he still is playing for his place, by the way. He will probably go back to 3. Jamie Smith will come back in eventually. I think Ollie Pope will stay at 6 for the next 2 test matches. I don't see England changing the makeup of the front of the first 7. Jacob Bethel will bat 3 for Wellington and Hamilton, and then Jamie Smith will come back in and possibly come in at number 6, and Ollie Pope will go back to number 3. But this will do him the world of good to get some runs. When he came in a challenging position, he kept very, very well, and now he's got some runs under pressure, and that's what the game does to you, John. It's such a weird game that you do get one chance. You hit it right of the best gun fielder one of the best gun fielders in the world. He catches it one-handed, and Harry Brook walks out at 45 for 3 under with a team under pressure. He gets dropped 4 times, and he's still there on 100. I'm sure they're pleased for each other.
Maybe it's this. There's something about this pitch, because there was an innings here played by Brendan McCullum. He, of course, scored the fastest century in the history of Test cricket, 54 balls against Australia. New Zealand were 50 off for 5 when he came to the crease. And I think he'd gone past 50. And there was a similarly brilliant catch by Mitchell Marsh at backward point. Brendan McCullum unfurling the cut shot. And it's identikit. The bowler had overstepped. That's the game.
It's the game. It is the game. There's a couple of times that we nearly had that moment, did we? We're standing in the middle. Jacob Bethel's about to walk off. Nathan Smith standing there waiting to celebrate his first Test match wicket. It's small, as Ian Smith said in the World Cup final, small margins. Nathan Smith has got Jacob Bethel out. If he was a fraction over, Joe Root doesn't get out. Joe Root doesn't get out because Jacob Bethel doesn't get out. And I mean, the just how fickle this game is and how close you are from success to failure. But Ollie Pope, I mean, brilliant. I'm really pleased for the lad because, like I've said many, many times, I said to Manners loads of times in the summer following on. We talk about county cricket. You talk about the players who scored 1,000 runs, first class last year in England. I wouldn't swap any of them for Ollie Pope. He is a better player than all them. But there does come a time, like the Zach Crawley a few years ago, where it's cruel on the player to leave him in when he's really struggling. I don't think that's the tipping point yet. He did brilliantly as captain to win the series against Sri Lanka in the West Indies, and hopefully that there will just kick him into the part of the rest of this winter and the start of the summer, and really give him some confidence of going out, probably back at number 3 to score some runs.
Harry Brook in New Zealand, 250s at Mount Maunganui, 180 odd at Wellington, 132 unbeaten here at Christchurch. It seems the only way you can get him out is if Joe Root runs him out.
Yeah, Joe Root runs him out. Yeah, his winter numbers his overseas numbers are exceptional. I said I've seen a graphic a little bit earlier on the TV. He averages 91 away from home in Test match cricket, only behind Sir Donald Bradman. Donald Bradman's the only one that averages more. Yeah, exactly. Who? So Don Bradman, and he's in between Don Bradman and Kenny Barrington for overseas average away from home. I think he averages 39 at home, and he averages 91 away from home. He's a special talent, this Harry Brook, and he batted really well here. Yes, you can ride your luck. He rode his luck, but
there's some stats that make your head hurt.
It does.
He averages 39 at home and 90.
Yeah, I think it's 31 at home, 39 at home, and 91 away.
Let's hear from England's Ollie Pope, who caught up with our producer on talkSport Cricket, Scott Taylor.
Ollie, well batted. How do you assess the day's play at the end of it?
Good, really good in the end. I think we knew it was going to be tough with the new ball. It's kind of how the game goes out here, nipped around, and I thought the way Duckett played early on, and that was some really crucial runs. And yeah, clearly Brookie doing what Brookie does, put together a really special knock, and it's put us in a good position.
Yeah, just talk about Harry, because you played with a lot of great players over your career, not only at England at Surrey, but what's Harry like, not only as a player but as a person as well?
Yeah, as a person he's pretty chilled. He just stays in his bubble. I think he works as hard as anyone at the game. Obviously it's pretty clear he's worked hard at his fitness, but he's just pretty relentless with how he goes about his practice, and there's no surprise that he's shown some really good consistency over the year, and he's going to keep on developing, I'm sure, as a test player as well.
And there's something in this part of the world, in the waters, where every time you come over here you seem to keep wicket. How have you found keeping wicket over here?
Yeah, I know, I don't know why. I just had I put my gloves on in the warm-up game just thinking I don't know why. Obviously such bad luck with Coxey looking to make his debut, but yeah, enjoyed it. I think I kept a lot as a youngster, kind of growing up until I was about 18 and we signed Folksy, and then I think the only times I've really done it are in test matches in this part of the world or Pakistan. So no, it's something that I think the basics are there from when I was a youngster, so I think for me it's just keeping my focus throughout a longer spell with the gloves on, and enjoyed it out there.
And what's it been like getting back in the runs? It must be a great feeling to be back in the runs.
Yeah, I think obviously missed out in Pakistan, didn't play my best, missed out on obviously the flat one, and then the wickets were tough, it wasn't easy, so to come out here and put a score together in the first innings of the series for me is important. It's somewhere I like batting, but I think I've worked hard on my game in that little break that we had in between Pakistan and here, and hopefully the rewards will keep coming.
And how important was that break between Pakistan and here? Because you've had a long summer, you're captain in the side, so it probably took a little bit more out of you, not physically but mentally as well. So it's just a reset for a couple of weeks, come here fresh, must have been so important. Yeah,
I think I kind of found myself looking outside rather than within too much going into that Pakistan series. Obviously finished. There was a lot of voices throughout the whole of that sort of back end of the summer, but finished really strong with the bat. And I kind of found myself it probably took more out of me than I thought at the time, and that's just a good lesson. And then in between Pakistan and here, I kind of remembered to look within. Don't worry about too much what's being said. And I think over your career you kind of learn that. And there's always going to be voices, and that's completely fine. And I probably just. I don't think it affected me in the series, but I spent too much time sort of talking about it, and rather than thinking, what can I do to improve my own game? So I think that's probably the most pleasing thing, is that I've seen the rewards today, and like I said, hopefully throughout the rest of the series and moving forward, that's a good little lesson for me.
How hard was it? You talk about the noise. How hard was it just to block out? Because we can all talk about criticism, but unless you've been in that position where people are talking about it, it must be pretty hard.
Yeah, I think obviously the nature of the sport we play in Test cricket is the way it goes. I think it is important to block it out. I've had it sort of throughout my career. At the times where you're in a little low patch, there's going to be a lot of noise, and when you're playing well, there's some good noise as well. But it's just becoming at peace with it. What's being said is being said. But for us, I think what's really important for me is just to, even if you see it, just try and do your best to ignore it, because there's a lot of opinions out there, and that is completely fine. And I realise that it doesn't help reading it and dwelling on it. You just got to think about what you can do the next game to become a better player, to keep taking your game to the next level rather than sort of standing still.
Just a couple more. Have you lent on the likes of Joe and Ben, who have been there, done that, with the experience on how to deal with that extra scrutiny and pressure, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit, and I think it's always quite good to sort of chat to people outside the bubble sometimes. I spent a bit of time just thinking about how I can improve that mental side of my game in between series, and I felt sort of the way I went about my innings is kind of credit to, I guess, the people I've spoken to. I lent on Alex Stewart a bit back at Surrey, had a good chat with him about what does he see when I'm playing my best, what does it look like, and I think it's probably just that calmness at the crease, and I felt like I had that today going out there and putting together an innings, so that's something that I can really take forward.
You mentioned the calmness. In years gone by, being 45 for 3 with a deficit at lunch, there might have been a lot of panic, but the impression I get from this group is that it's pretty calm even at lunch when you were so far behind the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's something as a team we do well in terms of the atmosphere within the changing room. I think you wouldn't know if we're 300 for 2 or we're 50 for 4, and I think that's something really important to help us get out of those situations, rather than thinking, how far are we behind here, what can we do to sort of just step by step, be in the moment, being sort of the ball you're about to face. That's all that really matters, and the scoreboard at that point becomes irrelevant, and that can help us get out of those trickiest situations. So that's something really important for us to keep taking forward.
And you won a toss and bowled yesterday. It was a hot day yesterday, but in New Zealand this pitch tends to get better as the test goes on, so justified with that decision, and you built a good platform to push on tomorrow. Yeah,
absolutely. I think it kind of had its external challenges out there. I think the footmarks were wet and the bowlers were actually slipping a lot, and obviously that breeze meant we bowled a lot of spin, and credit to Bash, the way he bowled really helped us hold that innings together, and obviously we got the rewards as the game went on, and yeah, look, it looks a pretty good pitch to bat on now. The odd ball's kind of nipping about a bit, and there's some good pace in it, so there's definitely some opportunities still to take wickets when we get out there again.
Ollie Pope, who hit 77 today, speaking with talkSport's Scott Taylor. He always speaks well, does Ollie. He's very aware of his game, of his position, of the importance of his role, but he's also done a lot of different things for England. You know, he's kept wicket, he's captain, he's vice captain. He's batted at 3. He batted at 3 for England when he'd never even batted at 3 for Surrey. You know, he's done a lot of different things. He's been asked to do a lot of things, and he's always fronted up. He's a very popular man within that dressing room, and he's a leader as well. You speak to Gareth Bowdy about that. He's equally seen in similar light at Surrey. And it was good to hear him name-checking Alex Stewart as well. They care about their players, that's for sure. Coming towards the end of the show, let's take a little look in the last couple of minutes to tomorrow. And, I mean, it's pretty simple, isn't it? Come out and bat and score as many runs and then take some wickets. One thing I will say, though, Harmy, and this is why the point you made about that Ben Stokes drop right at the end of the day. Tomorrow's forecast looks very similar to today's, which means it could well be quite testing times to bat in that first couple of hours, especially against the new ball, which is 6 overs old. But the pressure is going to be put back on New Zealand almost immediately, especially if England get off to a quick start. They didn't get off to a quick start in their first innings, actually. But, I mean, we'd always talk about the first session. I'm not going to do that. But certainly, we're not going to get these conditions in that first morning. So there is an opportunity there for New Zealand. But unlike today, they've got to take it.
Yeah, they've got to take it. And you look at the 6 overs being, hugely crucial, influential in the game. If they don't get one of these out, Brook or Stokes, and all of a sudden that new ball becomes, for me, a potential 6, 7, 8 and over for the next 10 overs, because in this contest so far, the new ball, it has a new ball wicket, it has done a bit, but Southey's going to take a new ball 16 overs in, heavy-legged, same with Henry. Smith's, a Herculean effort by Nathan Smith on debut today, as well as Will O'Rourke. They're going to pull up stiff tomorrow. They're going to be a little bit sore. They're not going to have the velocity on it like they had on today. So because of all that, they need some help, and they need some help from the field. A good bit of run out, an excellent catch. Then they're going to need a little bit of luck, but they're desperately going to need a wicket in that first 6. If not, it could be a long day for New Zealand.
Let's just hear a little snippet. We'll hear the full interview before play on day 3. Nathan Smith speaking with Daniel McCarty.
Nathan, congratulations reaching these heights, getting your first test wicket. Let's talk from a team perspective. England only trailed by 29 runs. How do you feel the day's play went?
Yeah, it was an interesting day. I thought we created enough chances there, but I think they batted well. A couple of good partnerships there to get themselves back in a good position, but we created enough chances. So hopefully tomorrow we take those and we tidy them up pretty quickly.
Certainly made the most of what seemed like good conditions in that first session, bit of overhead stuff. There was enough in there.
Yeah, for sure. I think with the newer ball as well, it's good bounce, good nip. Just when that ball gets a bit older, the sharp nip goes. So you've just got to work a little bit harder there, but there's still enough bounce out there. So hopefully put it in the right area for a good amount of time tomorrow and get a few more.
Seemed like you were quite excited when you got the ball in hand, overstepping that mark,
yeah,
then a wicket, first ball of your second over. What does that feel like?
Yeah, I was a little bit nervy there. I was obviously quite excited, so I was pushing the front line, but it was nice. I blacked out for a few overs there, so that was good stuff. But no, it was awesome to get those under the belt. Hopefully there's a few more out there tomorrow.
Well, hopefully you've woken up from that blackout and realised you got Joe Root out.
Yeah, I've bowled enough now to wake up, so it was, yeah.
You feel pretty good out there, because unfortunately on the wrong side of a field, those chances going begging. It's hard to sort of keep positive when that happens.
Oh, not really. We're all we're trying to do is create chances. Everyone's going to drop catches, so we just got to keep bowling, working hard, bowling aggressive, and hopefully contain that run rate a little bit.
Yeah, and Harry Brook is so good, isn't he? And Pope, guys that score at a good rate, you can't afford to offer them chances, but you've got to give him credit. He made you pay.
Yeah, for sure. They batted really well, so we'll come out tomorrow with that new ball and hopefully knock them off pretty quickly.
Nathan Smith speaking with Daniel McCarty. Thanks to Sport Nation. That's pretty much it for our broadcast today. I hope you've enjoyed it, whether you are following us on YouTube, the talkSport Cricket YouTube channel, or via talkSport 2. We will be back at about 10:15 UK time, which is about 11:15 in New Zealand. The podcast's always available via the following on podcast feed. A daily highlights podcast, as well as analysis, insight, as well as highlights and exclusive player interviews as well. The game is wide open. New Zealand will be disappointed tonight, but they will come back strong tomorrow. England will know that they may not have quite as many chances on day 3 as they've had on day 2. But they finish day 2 the stronger position, trailing by 29, 5 wickets in hand, with Harry Brook and Ben Stokes at the crease. But for now, thanks for watching or listening to Following On.